Blade Trinity is a 2004 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Blade. It is the sequel to Blade 2 and the third installment in the Blade franchise. The film was written and directed by David S. Goyer, who also produced with Peter Frankfurt, Lynn Harris, and Wesley Snipes, who also starred in the lead role. The film co-stars Ryan Reynolds, Jessica Biel, Kristofferson, Dominic Purcell, Parker Posey, and Triple H in his first feature film debut. Vampire leader Danica Talos has framed Blade for numerous murders, and alongside a team of rogue vampire hunters, he must fight Dracula. Welcome back to Marvel Movie Rewind, where we look back at every live-action Marvel movie. Today we are discussing Blade Trinity. In 2001, before the release of Blade 2, New Line Cinema made a deal with David S. Goyer to write and produce a third Blade film. In 2002, German director Oliver Hirschbiegel was in talks to direct the film, but chose instead to direct a film about Adolf Hitler called Downfall. Goyer, friends with both Stephen Norrington and Guillermo del Toro, asked for their advice. Del Toro did conceptual artwork for the film and was thanked in the end credits. In August 2003, Ryan Reynolds was in negotiations to join the film, and Ashley Scott was also considered as his counterpart, and they would also star in a potential spin-off film. Later that month, Jessica Biel signed on to the project. Producers at New Line Cinema suggested casting professional wrestler Triple H, and Goyer was highly skeptical. Goyer was impressed by Triple H's comic timing and self-deprecation and ended up expanding his role. Apple did not pay for product placement. They made the equipment available and included the option to buy it at a 60% reduction. Now, let's talk about the production. The movie was produced by New Line Cinema and distributed by New Line Cinema. It was directed and written by David S. Goyer. The movie was also produced by Wesley Snipes again. Reportedly, Wesley Snipes was unhappy with the film's script and original choice of director. David S. Goyer, who had written all three films in the franchise, was then selected to replace the director of the film, which Snipes also protested. Snipes reportedly caused difficulty during filming, including frequently refusing to shoot scenes, often forcing director Goyer to use stand-ins and computer effects to add his character to scenes. Co-star Patton Oswalt alleged that Snipes would spend much of his time smoking marijuana in his trailer, and that he became violent with Goyer after accusing him of racism. It has also been alleged that Snipes refused to interact with the rest of the cast and crew, including Goyer, and would instead communicate with them through his assistant or the use of notes. Snipes also allegedly referred to co-star Ryan Reynolds as a cracker on one or more occasions. Snipes denied that version of events and said that as an executive producer on the film, he had the authority to make decisions, but that some people had difficulty accepting that. In the DVD special features, Goyer talks about how cities are often multilingual. Goyer used Esperanto and its flag as part of the fictional city where Blade is set. The Esperanto flag is shown twice, at the entrance to the police station after Blade is rescued from jail, and in the rooftop scene where Drake threatens to drop a baby over the edge. Background elements such as signs and advertisements include Esperanto translations. Hannibal King is at one point seen watching the William Shatner starring Esperanto language film Incubus on television. The film's director of photography, Gabriel Beristain, makes a cameo appearance as the one-eyed newspaper vendor who talks to Whistler in Esperanto and discusses the public perception that Blade is a menace to society. A soundtrack containing hip-hop music and electronic music was released on November 23, 2004 by New Line Records. It peaked at number 68 on the top R&B hip-hop albums and number 15 on the top soundtracks. The film was released in theaters on December 8, 2004. The film's American box office gross was $52 million, and the total worldwide gross was $132 million. This matched the first Blade's take, but came behind Blade 2, which had grossed $150 million worldwide. It had a budget of $65 million and made $132 million at the box office. It currently has a 24% critic score and a 58% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, a 5.8 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 38 Metacritic score. The film received mostly negative reviews from critics for its formulaic themes, directing, and acting. It is the worst reviewed film in the trilogy. A tie-in Java mobile game developed by M-Forma was released. There was also an animated short film that serves as a prequel to the film, called Blade Bloodthirsty. In 2005, Snipes sued New Line Cinema and Goyer, claiming that the studio did not pay his full salary, that he was intentionally cut out of casting decisions in the filmmaking process, despite being one of the producers, and that his character screen time was reduced in favor of co-stars Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel. In 2006, Snipes was sued by United Talent Agency for allegedly failing to fulfill agreements to pay commission to the agency on his earnings. A follow-up television series titled Blade the Series was released in 2006 and ran for one 13-episode season. It stars Sticky Fingers as the titular character, replacing Snipes. Certain events in the film are mentioned in the pilot episode. An expanded version of the pilot was released on DVD in 2007, titled Blade: House of Chthon. In October 2008, Blade director Stephen Norrington was developing a prequel trilogy to Blade, featuring Stephen Dorff reprising his role as Deacon Frost. By August 2012, the film rights to Blade had reverted to Marvel Studios, and a script for a new film was ready by May 2013. Snipes said in July 2015 that he had discussions with Marvel to reprise the role. In 2016, Underworld actress Kate Beckinsale stated that a crossover sequel to Blade Trinity with the Underworld film series had been in development but was cancelled after the film rights reverted to Marvel Studios in 2012. In July 2019, at San Diego Comic-Con, Marvel Studios announced a Blade reboot set in the MCU, with Mahershala Ali as the title character. Snipes reprised his role as Blade 20 years later, in 2024's Deadpool and Wolverine. On the set of Blade Trinity, Snipes had found Reynolds' humor a little too over the top, but years later thought it made sense in the context of Deadpool. On Deadpool and Wolverine, Snipes enjoyed working with Reynolds. Blade would appear in the MCU 17 years later as an uncredited voice cameo role in 2021's Eternals. His own film is still currently in development. With that being said, thanks for watching. Next time we'll be talking about Elektra. If you enjoyed this episode and would like to see more, consider giving a like or rating and subscribing with notifications so you never miss an episode. It's free. Also feel free to check out our other episodes and share this podcast with others on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We'll see you next time on Movie Rewind.